Yeah. 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 Chrome hearts at the Caesar's Palace. I was a sneaker savage, undefeated baggage. Shade bar, you can be established. A 230s, that's 69s. You can eat a salad while you feed a phallus. I speak in palettes that can be
And
graphics.
we are back. It's Maestro, it's Kenny T, it's Monday, and that means Mano a Mano live time on a Memorial Day Monday. I'm here with my brother KT, the real KO Kenny. Kenny, what's good, fam?
Can't complain. You already know. Maestro here to teach you dudes, and KO Kenny here to knock shit the fuck out. Let's do it. We ready to go live from New York. Let's go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And look, I want to get stuff started, Kenny, just by going over last week, okay? And last week being Saturday, we got to see Gervonta Davis do his thing here in New York City at the Barclays. Straight off the top, Kenny, I'm not going to beat around the bush over here. Were you impressed by Tank Saturday night?
Yes, I was. I definitely was.
And why don't you give us the rundown about why KO Kenny was impressed by what he saw Saturday night?
I was very impressed with Gervonta Davis and his shape. The way he came into the fight, his gas tank was there. He was ready. Although the fight only went to the 5th round, he did not look to be gassing out how he has looked in previous fights at certain points. I was very impressed by that. I was very impressed by him being able to keep up the movement in his defense for the entire time. Rolly was throwing a hell of a lot of punches, and he has a hell of a lot of reach and these weird angles, and those punches could have caught a hell of a lot of fighters, almost any fighter, but his defense was definitely there.
All right, so Saturday night, Barclays, it was Davis, it was Romero, and look, the stoppage was highlight reel for sure. I'm not going to deny that. It was a highlight reel stoppage. And going into this fight, I was excited about seeing this fight, Davis and Romero. I was.
Rolly.
But I got to tell you, I was mostly interested in it because of the antics of Rolly Romero, Kenny. And, you know this because I was talking to you about it for a while, the week of the fight. And I was hoping that Rolly would show up and, back up kind of some of the things he was doing at the press conference and the talk that he was engaging in. And I'm going to give you an example about why I feel that Rolly sold this fight and why Rolly is the one who got me interested in this fight. We'll just go to this footage here. It was the Thursday before the Friday weigh-in. This was last Thursday. Here we go. And I shared this with you, Kenny. So I thought it was very funny. I mean, he's showing up to this WBA regular title fight with his interim belt. And you hear Gervonta Davis there mentioning that it's the interim belt.
Look, same shit as your belt. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's the exact same belt.
And I mean, that was it in a nutshell for me, right?
That was great.
You're going to fight the man for a red G belt. It's not the real title. So guess what? You're going to bring your little belt, as he put it, shut the fuck up. It's the exact same belt. Okay. So look, those kind of antics got me into the fight. I was hoping that Rolly would turn up and do something. But at the end of the day, Rolly went into this fight with 14 fights. Rolly went into the fight having started boxing at the, relatively advanced age of 17, which is even more advanced for the younger fight, or for the smaller fighters. But before I continue, let me get into the super chat. Salute Nando. All right. Let me do that right for Nando. Salute Nando. All right. He says, hey, yo, saludos to Maestro, Kenny, and the chat. Peace on this Memorial Day. Absolutely. All right. Memorial Day should actually be Peace Day. All right. Because it's a day where we remember that, people went out, and sacrificed their lives, unfortunately, and we got to acknowledge that the best way to avoid that is to always advocate for peace and not war. So absolutely peace on this Memorial Day. Respect to you. All right, and respect everybody else in the chat. I see Tony Pugilist. I see Mario P, the GOAT. All right. We also got Nando, obviously, and Chicano Prophet as well. So, look, like I said, Kenny, those type of antics got me interested in the fight. But I'll tell you why I thought the KO was spectacular, but why I'm not really that impressed, Kenny. Rolly Romero, 14 fights. Rolly Romero, as Tony says, very limited amateur pedigree. You're talking about a guy that started fighting as a small guy at the age of 17, a guy whose background was in judo. He talks a great game, all right? Shut the fuck up. It's the exact same bout. Like, I loved it. But Tank Davis, a guy who a lot of people want to advocate for being on the lists of the greatest fighters in the sport, you're not really going to get that much credit for me when you KO a Rolly Romero. Rolly would have got a hell of a lot of credit from me if he won, but Tank Davis taking on a 14-0 fighter, a guy who people thought got beat by Jackson Martinez. I got to tell you, Kenny, I got to tell you, and you may disagree with me because we haven't really discussed this, but I'm seeing a lot of similarities, dog. I'm seeing a lot of similarities between these two gentlemen, okay? And why? Well, the man on the left, Trevor Bryan, is the WBA regular heavyweight champion. He's not the real heavyweight champion.
I was about to ask you, who is that on the left side? I don't even know who that is.
Tank Davis is the WBA Reggie title holder at 135. He's not the real lightweight champion. He's not. The real lightweight championship is going to be contested this weekend between George Kambosos Jr., and we're going to get into that fight in a moment, taking on Devin the Dream Haney. That is the lightweight championship.
They sold it like if it was a championship, though. Jimmy Lennon was out there selling the shit out of this being a championship fight to the casuals.
It was not a championship. It was not. And for anyone that actually thinks that this was a legit championship, Kenny, you really got to be doing some of this, okay? You really got to be doing this. You got to get the fuck out of here with that. He's not defending the lightweight championship. And
not at all.
There's a lot of similarities in this fight and the upcoming fight between Trevor Bryan and Daniel Dubois. Trevor Bryan holds the WBA regular belt at heavyweight. Tank Davis holds the WBA regular belt at 135. Tank Davis defended that title against the guy who held an interim title at 135, but got stripped. That's Romero. Trevor Bryan is about to defend his WBA regular title against Daniel Dubois, also was holder of a disputable interim title and got stripped and got put into this position. So look, we just need to stop it with he's great, this was amazing, he's fantastic. I will give him those accolades 100% once he beats somebody who's a top tier in the division, but he hasn't done that, or do you think he's done that, Kenny? Am I way off on this?
No. I definitely don't think he's done that. Earlier, when you asked me if I was impressed by Tank, if you notice what I said, I didn't mention the KO. All I mentioned was his gas tank. He was able to keep the defense going and continue moving out of the way of those punches the entire time and did not seem like he was gassing out. I do not think you're in any way out of pocket. It's true he hasn't faced anybody at 135, and at 135 the champs are about to face off June 5th for the real deal belt. So no, you're definitely not out of pocket. You're right on the money. And Tank Davis, he definitely took quite a few hits that we ain't even expect him to take. You know what I'm saying? I think everybody expected Tank Davis to be completely perfect out there because everybody was like discounting Riley because of having no amateur background, starting to box at 17, being so funny and awkward, and the potential or the spoke of loss against Martinez, which I do think he lost. I actually saw that fight. I saw the full fight, and I do actually think he lost that fight. So look, I understand. I completely agree with you, and I understand where you're coming from this point of view. He's definitely not the guy at 135. We're gonna find out who the guy at 135 is June 5th.
100%. And that fight is going to be between Devin the Dream Haney, who's going to Australia to take on George Kambosos Jr. And that's the lightweight championship of the world. You know, people want to say, oh, well, you might be a little harsh. Tank is taking on who he's taking on. Yeah, I mean, his track record at 135 is Yuriorkis Gamboa, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, and now Rolly. Well, Kambosos took on and beat up convincingly, despite what people want to say, despite what, you know, Team Takeover want to say. He lost that fight convincingly. The Takeover did. Kambosos won that fight. Better opponent than anyone Tank has ever faced. Okay? Devin the Dream Haney, he fought Jorge Linares and Jojo Diaz. Again, better opponent than anyone Tank has faced, at least since the fight with Jose Pedraza at 130. But we got Tony, and I've got a feeling Tony wants to go mano a mano with Maestro, or maybe with Kenny T. Who you coming here to go mano a mano with, brethren? Bless up, by the way. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, guys.
How's it going, brother?
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Great to see you guys, and a happy Memorial Day to you guys. Is it Memorial Day?
Yeah, it's Memorial Day. It's the equivalent of when you guys in the UK wear the poppies. You know, it's Remembrance Day or whatever. I think that's what it's called out there.
I got to shout out my family over there because a whole host of my family are based in America.
Okay.
You guys got to look out for my my cousin, who's kind of like a nephew to me. He just signed as an undrafted free agent with the New York Giants.
Oh, nice.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Big up.
So watch out for running back Jay Sean Corbin.
Okay.
So we'll be looking to see if he makes the 53-man roster. So he'll be in your town.
There you go.
There you
go.
But I want to address this question about the Reggie belt.
Yeah, the Reggie belt.
I actually don't disagree with you about the unimportance of belts in so much as that the proliferation of belts has meant that there's been this whole raft of people running around saying, I'm a world champion, I'm a world champion. Yeah. And I had this out some time ago, and I just came to the realization, you know what, you just got to give people their due, because I've got to say it like this. In the annals of history, when we look at who was a world champion, who isn't a world champion, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years from now, when you're no longer able to scour the internet and work out who deserved what and where and how, you'll just be looking at and saying, who was a world champion? And they'll be saying, Gervonta Tank Davis was a free-weight world champion. They're not going to go, oh, but he had this belt and he had that belt. Because the same thing applies with Floyd Mayweather. Does anyone say, oh, what belt did he have? Because let's not forget, Floyd never had an undisputed belt. Never.
No, he didn't, which is why a lot of people got mad at me when I said that if Terrence Crawford does end up becoming undisputed at welterweight and then does, let's say, take on a Jermell Charlo and beats him for the undisputed at 154, that he will have accomplished more than Mayweather, but people don't want to hear it.
People definitely don't want to hear it.
People don't want to hear it. How the hell can you tell me with a straight face that Floyd is more accomplished than Terrence Crawford would be if Terrence Crawford was a three-weight undisputed world champion? I'm not getting it, but to your point, Tony, a lot of people are just interested in this guy moved up to this weight, this guy moved back down to that weight, without actually looking at these titles. I mean,
I get it, Kenny, but again, all I'm gonna say is, unfortunately, it is what it is. you know, we just gotta live with the fact that there's gonna be some guys who are gonna be rolling with an IBO title in a ring, and you're like, hang on a second, my guy's got 6 belts on his shoulder. So what's he carrying? He's carrying the 4 regular belts. He got an IBO belt and he got a ring belt at the same time. And you're like, how's my guy? Look at Floyd's collection of belts. I know he likes to show that collection of green belts, you know, which is very impressive. But
True.
when you look at that actual collection of green belts, how many of them are actually real belts, as you trying to make out now what a real belt is? Because a lot of them belts are like, oh, but that was the interim strap, or that was this strap. You know, don't forget, my guy Tyson Fury, he got a nice white strap, and you're like, where you get that white strap from? Oh, but we made that one. Yeah, your boy,
Canelo been getting the belts, the Mestizo belt, the Maya belt.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying, my brother? It is what it is.
At the end of the day, though, we know what the facts are. So you know, everybody's always gonna. We have to live with it, but everybody's always gonna know what the facts are. And supposedly, WBA is trying to get rid of those regular belts. That was supposedly the original reason why the Riley versus Tank fight was set up, because they both had a regular belt and they needed to get rid of one of them. And
regular and interim. Raleigh had the interim, they stripped him. Daniel Dubois had the interim, they stripped him. Yeah. And now Trevor Bryant is the regular champion, and so is Tank Davis. I mean, these are the same guys, but in 2 different divisions. I'm sorry.
I mean, let's be honest, guys.
Sorry, that's a fact.
Yeah, let's be honest, guys. There's a guy called Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
He's currently a world titleist in a weight division he probably hasn't weighed in about 3 years.
126.
I mean, ask yourself the question. In the annals of history, someone could turn to me and say, oh, Roberto Duran was the lightweight champion for 10 years consecutively. What an amazing feat. And then they turn around and say, oh, but Leo Santa Cruz was a bantamweight champion for how many years without defending a title?
Well, that's the thing. And I mean, I'm sorry. I see Joe Habib up in the chat. Salute to Joe Habib, Ringside Reporter Live. I mean, he resides near where the quiet man John Ruiz is from. I'm sorry. John Ruiz was not actually the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to break this to people, but Roy Jones did not win the heavyweight championship of the world. He didn't.
So this is my point.
He didn't do it.
What it is, Maestro. In the annals of history, Roy Jones captured the heavyweight championship of the world. Unfortunately, to those of us who wish to...
Hold up. Did you just say the heavyweight championship of the world?
No, I'm saying to those who wish to find a higher level of accountability for our champions, we can turn around and say, no, sir, you weren't the champion at that time, because we don't consider that belt to be acceptable of our standards. But in the annals of history, we ain't going to be that guy. I'm sorry, 20, 30, 40 years from now, Maestro, ain't nobody looking on your pod and saying, oh.
So basically, Tony. So Tony, basically, Tony's this man now. This is Tony. All right. Tony apparently is this dude.
Tony Ellerby.
I'm telling you, you know, all the other lightweights out there, I think, you know, Rolly's put him on notice. You know, Tank Davis is on another level. He showed you why he's one of the best fighters in the world.
What?
And,
this is
what?
So
Kenny, go for it. I need you to cook.
He just said that Tank is the best fighter in the world, putting everybody on notice.
No, Rolly put the division on notice, and Tank showed that he's of a different level than everybody else.
Yeah, right. Rolly could definitely get some good fights now. I say that, but who has Tank fought and who can Tank fight next to make him that guy? Because he's not that guy right now, not at 135. He has the tools, and off the eye test says that he's that guy, and he could possibly be that guy. But with the tools and the eye test that he's passed, he hasn't proven himself. There are no stats for him to prove himself that prove him being that guy at 135. So it is what it is for the argument of him being that guy at 135, but who does he even fight next, right? Because as we said before, Kambosos and Haney, there's a rematch clause right after that. So those two guys are locked up for maybe a year. Who does he fight next that's going to give him that credibility?
Well, I mean, if you're sticking around 135, I'm sorry, but at this point, Ryan Garcia is not a serious guy at 135. He just isn't. He had that long spell of inactivity. He came back. And to be quite frank, he didn't really look that impressive in his last fight. And I don't even think that fight took place at 135. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a catch weight.
It was, yeah.
In his last fight. So, I mean, maybe he is the third best light heavyweight. Lightweight. Maybe he is, but I'm telling you this right now. He's definitely not number one, and he's definitely not number two.
The guy that you're missing is
Lomachenko. Lomachenko. Does Tank beat Lomachenko? Do you agree with Leonard Ellerby that Rolly put the division on notice and Tank has showed that he's way better than everybody else at 135?
I believe Leonard, because I honestly believe the kid is the next big thing. I agree with you. He has to prove it, and he has to date not proven it because his resume is insufficient to allow him to be placed in any higher pantheon than where he is currently. But the eye test tells me he can be a great. He could clean up.
And there it goes from Tony Ellerby, folks. Tony Ellerby, all right?
Ding the
You
bell
heard it there first.
Real quick. Ding the bell for Tony Ellerby real quick. What the hell is going on over here?
Look, you got someone who in the chat indicated that they didn't know till today that John Ruiz was not the real heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying that.
Yeah.
No,
so
he wasn't. Lennox Lewis was the heavyweight champion.
Question. 20 years from now, is anybody going to be turning around and saying, well, was Gervonta Tank Davis a legitimate 3-weight world champion? Well, he held belts at all 3 weights.
Well, look, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. All of these people who were amped up about this fight, okay, I was interested because it was all about Rolly's talking game. But if you think that Tank Davis is the best lightweight in the world and is the lightweight world champion, and when are you going to give this man his credit, yo? That's Trevor Bryan.
Yeah. I mean, you know
on his name, Tony. Put some respect on Tony. Put some respect on your brethren, his name, your Caribbean brethren, your Jamaican brethren, Trevor Bryan. Put some respect on his goddamn name.
Trevor Bryan is failing the eye test right now. I don't know about that.
Failing it miserably as well, Kenny, can I say? But yeah, listen, I gotta say this. Jumped out my train of thought. Look, today we just got announced. I don't know if you're aware of it, but Huey Fury,
yes,
fighting
Michael the Bounty Hunter.
Michael the Bounty Hunter in a WBA final eliminator.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
The winner gets a crack at the winner of Dubois and
what the hell is going on? I mean, if we're talking about the eye test, right? Michael Hunter, his last few fights have been questionable at best. And there's a guy that if there ever was a guy you could give some advice to and say, bro, go down to Bridgerweight.
Yeah, I mean, his most impressive fight at heavyweight was probably the Povetkin fight where
he drew. Yeah, he drew.
Right, I mean,
against a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, I mean, to me that was his most impressive fight at heavyweight.
Yeah,
Huey Fury, I think, is probably going to beat him with his length, with his footwork, with his size.
I don't know how you make that assumption.
Well, the problem with Huey Fury, he's also got a really good trainer in his dad, Peter Fury. But the problem with Huey Fury is he often fights to the level of his opponents.
Yeah.
And doesn't really look spectacular usually, and doesn't really knock guys out. So, look, the other thing about that too, ain't it happening at the same time in Manchester as like the Ricky Hatton comeback?
Ricky Hatton, yeah. So people will buy a ticket to one fight and get a totally separate card after the main card.
It's like 8 hours.
It's a bit of genius by Sky Sports and Boxer, to be honest, because it will fill up. That place will be full to the brim.
I did not know Ricky Hatton had a comeback fight. This is crazy.
It's not a comeback. It's an exhibition. It's like a Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson type situation.
He's fighting Barrera, isn't he?
Yeah, Marco Antonio Barrera.
And I've seen Barrera recently. I mean, the dude looks like an aging, middle-aged man. I mean, I'm a little bit perplexed as to why they're doing this, other than I guess for the money, you know.
For sure.
It's always for the money.
You nailed it. It's for the moolah.
It's for the moolah.
It's for the dinero.
Before we keep moving, let's close out the Tank and the Rolly talk, right?
Yes,
we already said who we think that Tank could fight next, right?
Yes, sir.
So now that Rolly has raised his stock, right? According to Tony
really?
Ellaby, I think he raised his stock. I actually do think he raised his stock. Like he could. He will not be fighting in the stadium with only 10 people in it anymore.
True that. But let me give you this one. Put Rolly in with Isaac Cruz and tell me how good Rolly's gonna look, because Isaac Cruz.
I'd like to see that.
Will knock the shit out of that geezer.
Do we know that? Do we know that?
I feel it. I feel so.
There's gonna be.
He's making major statements right now.
Yeah, do we know that? Look, there's gonna be punches flying and landing, because if there's one thing that we know is Isaac Cruz has good defense, but his defense is not as good as Tank Davis's defense. So he's gonna be getting hit just as much as he's gonna be hitting Riley. And Riley has a chin, and so does Isaac Cruz. Bro, it's gonna be a war. I would love to see it. It'll be more of a war than Tank Davis and Rolly.
I agree, but let me ask you guys before we get to the next topic. Tony, where do you rank Tank in the lightweight division right now?
Number 3, solid.
Number 3 behind who?
Behind Kambosos and Devin Haney.
So you got him ahead of Loma?
Yeah.
Interesting. Kenny?
Probably 4. It's hard to rank Loma right now, though. I do have him 3, but it's hard to rank Loma right now, specifically because I have him like under the inactive list. You know what I'm saying? But even if his greatness and what he's done, and he's gonna come back and be just as great, I believe. So I'm gonna have him at number 3 and Tank at number 4. He's accomplished more in his career, bro. Those belts were his. As he says, he gave those belts to Teofimo, or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, look, I gotta split it. Okay. I'm riding with Kenny T on this one. I can't put Tank Davis ahead of an actual former unified lightweight champion that lost to Teofimo Lopez over 12 rounds in what was a competitive fight, at least in the second half of it. Tank Davis ain't no top 3 lightweight right now, as far as I'm concerned. The clear number 1 is Kambosos. The clear number 2 is Haney. 3, okay, you might make the argument that he's inactive, that he's at war in the Ukraine, et cetera, but in terms of accomplishment at the lightweight division, it's not even close, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just put a comment. The 3 fight. Hold up, Tony. Then you're gonna go. The 3 fights at lightweight. Yuriorkis Gamboa, 40-plus-year-old, not impressive.
Yeah.
Isaac Pitbull Cruz, definitely not impressive.
But there was reason.
And the third fight against a 14-fight novice with a big mouth, who I didn't think, I was hoping he'd bring it. I mean, but let's face facts. He's a 14-fight novice with a big mouth. Those are the 3 fights at lightweight. How does that get you ranked above Lomachenko?
All right, Tony Ellerby. Let's hear the defense.
hear it.
Come on, let's hear the defense.
So you're making out like Tank struggled against Rolly. He rolled Rolly. Yeah.
A
Tank,
14-fight novice.
a 14-fight novice. He made him look like a 14. You know, look. Rolly had his moments.
I was about to say, did he make him look like a 14-fight novice?
Let me tell you about a novice who looked great on a one night. Leon Spinks. One night and one night only.
Put some spec on his name, Tony. That's a disrespect right there. You comparing Rolly to Leon Spinks?
Leon Spinks had one night only. Yeah? How many fights did he have? 7?
How many amateur fights did he have? What about his amateur accolade?
An Olympic champion. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Rolly, you can tell how Rolly fights. He doesn't have any kind of amateur pedigree.
Okay, so let's be honest. What Tank did with Rolly was he let Rolly have a little bit of play. He's like, okay, you can have those rounds. Now, look at the punch that knocks out Rolly. Tank doesn't even throw power in the shot. He literally just times him with a check hook. He times him. He doesn't throw power. We know when Tank throws power because that's Leo Santa Cruz.
A bantamweight, junior featherweight, Leo Santa Cruz.
Congratulations! Knockout of the year, baby.
Congratulations!
Knockout of the year.
Congratulations!
Who you are? You step in the ring.
How much does PBC pay you? Can I get on the same PBC contract? Because shit, I back the shit out of Tank Davis as well. I need that money.
It's not even fair right now because you got two dudes right here, and we got Tony all on his own. So I'm gonna bring in some help real quick for Tony. Hold on, here we go. Courtesy. Here we go.
When it comes to Tank, again. You know, no matter what you guys say, we're going to continue to do what he's doing. One by one, line him up. He's going to knock him down. You know, but again, going back to Rolly, and I thought that it was a very competitive fight. I don't know what anybody know the scorecards.
Well, there you go. There you go, Tony. You can give a little high five, fist bump to your boy Leonard, because Leonard helped you out over there. Leonard helped you out. So I got a question for Tony, though. Tony's my main guy out there in the UK. I got two main guys out there in the UK. I got Tony and I got Bass the Kid. Matter of fact, let me put some spec on my brother Ibrahim's name, too, because off the canvas, he's one of my guys out there, too. Travis and KG as well. So those are my guys in the UK. All right. So I got to get Tony Pugilist Boy's reaction. Usually I do Kenny reacts. Right now we're going to do a special one called Tony reacts to this announcement. Is this going to help out your boy? Is he going to be ready to take on Usyk in the rematch in Saudi? What are your thoughts on the announcement that AJ, Anthony Joshua, is going to be teaming up with the head of the Garcia Academy himself, Robert Garcia? What's going on, Tony? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so if I'm going to have a one-word answer to how I felt when this news dropped, it was finally.
Yeah?
Finally. After 6 months of to and fro and this name and that name, finally.
You wasn't shocked that it was Robert Garcia, though?
I'm just happy it's not Robert McCracken.
Finally, AJ has come back. Well, not really back, but he will be going back to Saudi Arabia. Maybe AJ will give them the people's eyebrow. Finally he's back in Saudi Arabia. But I mean, is this going to help him out though? I mean, he doesn't really have that much time if this fight's going to be taking place in June or July.
Okay, so what this is one of those, I'm going to come into camp like Angelo Dundee used to do with Sugar Ray Leonard. He's going to let somebody else work with my kid, work on the fundamentals, look at the strength and conditioning, and then at the last minute, I'm going to come in, I'm going to polish this up. Yeah, and I need a guy in Anthony Joshua's corner who's a dog. Yeah, and Robert McCracken, I think he's done an admirable job so far, but what he lacks is dog.
Does
Yeah.
Robert Garcia have that dog?
Robert Garcia got that dog. And I don't think Anthony Joshua can be polished sufficiently to outbox Usyk.
Yeah.
That's the God's honest truth. But what you can do is you can say, you, my friend, are a physical beast who can impose yourself physically on this guy, take him into deep waters, and be the dog. And Robert Garcia is the guy to try and do that. Whether he does it or not, I'm not sure. I might have to see something. But it's a mentality thing with Anthony Joshua. Because I also need to not only see stuff, I have to hear stuff. When I listen to Anthony Joshua saying, what am I going to do in the next round? What tactic should I employ? Well, my mind's telling me you haven't been schooled in the right way.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna play. Speaking about things you may want to hear or not hear, I'm gonna play a little bit of Robert Garcia. All right, and this is courtesy of Boxing King Media. All right, another brethren of mine out there in the UK. All right, and he got some interview footage from Robert Garcia, and here we go.
Do you think that sort of style of fighting he could replicate and may help him get that?
I've said it many times before, and not because I want him to hear this or because because I need him to hear this. I've said it many times before. Before he even lost a fight, I would say that talent-wise, I think he's the best heavyweight. He's very talented, but he needs to be in a place in the gym with trainers, with other fighters that are going to push him. He needs to change his attitude in the ring. He needs to be mean. He can't get hit and smile. That happened with him against.
He's saying all the right things.
Usyk in the last round. He's getting hit and he's smiling. He's like giving credit to his opponent. You gotta be mad. You gotta get mad because you're getting hit. He needs to have that mentality.
Well, there you go. Again, for the full interview, you got to check out my brethren Boxing King Media. But I saw you clapping, Tony. Kenny, what are your thoughts on hearing that? Because it sounds like he's saying what Tony wants to see. He wants to see some dog. He wants to see some meanness out of AJ.
Yeah, bro. It definitely, he's saying all the right things in that interview. It sounds like he was trying to get the job. If that was the job interview right there, shit, I'd hire him too. He was saying everything that dudes want to hear, because let's face the facts. We all think that at times Anthony Joshua is soft. And since he took that second loss to Usyk and it was so bad, he sounded even softer on social media, on all interviews and the things that he's been saying. So, Robert Garcia's right. He needs to get that dog in him. He needs to get back in there trying to knock dudes out. And if you get knocked out in the process, at least you went for the knockout. But go in there smart, not with your chin all up and doing funny shit.
Does not being soft include going to university dorm rooms and checking college kids?
Oh no, that's hella soft.
I mean, you saw that one, right, Kenny?
Nah.
You didn't see that?
Nah.
I'll see if I could put up the footage, but why don't you put that for a second? Huh?
We're making a story out of a mountain out of a molehill. That story doesn't have any legs in it. It literally was, in my eyes, and don't forget, we've established that you and I are both teachers.
Yes.
We work with kids.
Yes.
What Anthony Joshua did was a moment of mentoring.
It was a teachable moment.
A teachable moment for those young guys. Yeah, to say, watch your mouth. Look who you're talking to, because if you pick the wrong person, that could go the wrong way.
There you go. All right, fair enough. Look, I'll tell you what I think on this. I've also seen a couple people make reference to what I'm about to say. They said it in the chat, but it's something that I've thought as soon as I saw Robert Garcia mentioned as a trainer, is that I can't think of a light heavyweight he's worked with, or a cruiserweight, let alone a heavyweight. off the top of my head, I'm struggling even to think of a middleweight he's worked with. I mean, he's mostly known for working with guys in and around the welterweight division or below. So heavyweight boxing is a different beast altogether. You know, you do have your cases of a guy like Ismail Salas who trains Kazuto Uyoka and also trains Joe Joyce. But those are kind of rare in the sport of boxing. Usually you have guys that kind of specialize in and around certain divisions. I don't quite know what Robert Garcia is going to bring to the table in terms of heavyweight tactics, heavyweight game planning, but it's going to be interesting to see. Tony, what are your thoughts on that?
So, as a coach of boxers myself, there's no difference. There's literally no difference. Now, yeah, there's a difference in what you're presented by way of athletes, because quite clearly most of the heavyweights I work with don't have the fleet footness. They don't have the hand speed. They don't have the reaction speed, you know, that the lightweights, the welterweights, the bantamweights have. So I can give different kind of instruction based on who I'm working with. But the game is the same. The objective is the same. There's no difference. If I've got a big lightweight and I'm fighting a small lightweight, what do I use? Use your size. You know, look at Fundora. You know, if you're managing Fundora and you're like, Jesus Christ, how tall is this guy?
Yeah, it's about 6'5", I think, which is enormous for the 154-pound division.
You're saying, well, he's still only a, what is he, light middle? You know, but height-wise, he could be a super heavyweight.
Fair enough.
So it makes, to me, as I said, as a coach from a teaching perspective, I wouldn't have a worry with the fact that this coach generally tend to work with lighter weighted fighters. It would make no difference. You know, look at the greats. They all had heavyweights. You know, Emmanuel Stewart, D'Amato, you name it. They all worked with fighters at different weights. So,
all right. Last question on this AJ topic before we return to the lightweight division, Kenny, because I definitely want your thoughts on that. Is Robert Garcia the right guy?
I don't know, but I hope so, because that's who he chose. I think that specifically what they need to be working on is 100% defense and just selective fast power shots. That's what he needs to be working on. He shouldn't be working on boxing ability and trying to trade and stay in the pocket. And no. He should be training for his big man tactics. Defense, a strong jab, and quick power shots, selective power shots. You know, he doesn't need to be throwing 5, 6, whatever, or trying to throw 5, 6 punch combinations. Needs to be smart out there, conserve that gas tank, because there's one thing that we know is not going to change. His gas tank is never going to be better than Usyk's gas tank. So let's face the facts, trains his power. I don't know if Robert Garcia is the guy. I hope he is the guy, but it's kind of late in the game. He should have hired Robert Garcia in January.
I think that's the main thing, regardless of whether or not he's worked with heavyweights or not. I think the main thing is going to be the learning curve, or the change in style, the change in mentality happening essentially in one regular length training camp for the biggest fight of your career. It's definitely a tough mountain to climb, but we'll see if he could do it. Now, last thing that I want to talk about, returning again to the lightweight division. We've got my number one and my number two, Kenny's number one and Kenny's number two. We've also got Tony's number one and Tony's number two taking each other on the other side of the planet. Usually we say on the other side of the pond, but this is way further than that. They're fighting in Melbourne, Australia at the Marvel Stadium. It was very interesting for me to watch the press conference here. And hear this, but I want to play this, and then Kenny, I'm going to go right to you.
To choose to fight here.
Look, it's very important coming back to Australia to defend all my belts, the belts that I earned here in Melbourne. Had to do it here. Beautiful stadium, beautiful people, and my Greek population, my Greek people, obviously my Australian people. is amazing. So it's great that everyone's here. Everyone's going to be in the stadium. Unfortunately, as we all know, Devin's father, Bill.
I love how he starts it positive, Kenny, and then goes to the unfortunate part. But here we go.
He's not here at the moment. And again, I have tried my best to help that situation, but that's on them. But I really don't know how they let this guy into the country, to be honest. I don't think they let informants into the country. This guy is an informant. This guy is a rat. I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Listen, the Teofimo Lopez fight against a foreigner, his own countryman, he was messaging me, telling me all the details, every bit. Teo at the hookah lounge, Teo having problems with his wife. This is the kind of person. This is the kind of person. This is a rat. This is a rat.
Did he say Teo at the hooker lounge? Is that what he said? I swear that's what he said. Teo at the hooker lounge, Teo having problems with his wife. That's what he said, right? That's what I heard him say. Maybe I swear I heard him say Teo at the hooker lounge.
He said something like that.
Let's go back, because I don't want to get that one wrong.
That's on them. But I really don't know how they let this guy into the country, to be honest. I don't think they let informants into the country. This guy is an informant. This guy is a rat. I'll tell you why. I will tell you why. Listen, the Teofimo Lopez fight against a foreigner, his own countryman, he was messaging me, telling me all the details, every bit. Teo at the hookah lounge, Teo having problems with his wife.
Is it hooker or hookah?
Hookah lounge.
Hookah or hooker? That's the question. But here we go.
Hookah lounge.
Hooker gate.
No.
Hashtag hooker gate. Hookah, got it.
This is a rat. This is a rat. This is a snitch. This is an informant. And you know what? This is your countryman, your own countryman. You're going behind his back. So you know what? On Sunday, I'm gonna whip your ass. And you know when you get back to Las Vegas?
All right, copyright.
All right, there we go. So that's courtesy of Top Rank. I want to give all due respect for putting that press conference together. Look, he called Teofimo a chihuahua. He said he was training for Teo in the darkness, that he was going to surprise everyone and beat Teo, and he did it. Now he's labeled Devin Haney another animal. This time not a domesticated pet, but an animal that's pretty much by and large considered to be a pest. For those reasons, looking beyond whether or not there's any truth or validity to what he's saying, I see a very confident guy at this press conference. I see a guy that's telling somebody how he thinks about him and that is honestly prepared to back it up. You know, I like Devin Haney. I like George Kambosos, but I got to be honest with you. George Kambosos has proven he's got a track record of talking this type of shit and backing it up. He does not seem any less confident going into this fight than he did against the against Teofimo, where he started out strong. All right, was very aggressive, was throwing punches. I see him doing the same thing against Devin Haney, because Devin Haney actually probably has less punching power than Teofimo Lopez. But Kenny, what are your thoughts seeing this type of energy and this type of, I would classify it as confidence from George Kambosos Jr. And then Tony, I'll go to you.
I think it's impressive, bro. He's shown that this is what he's about. This is his behavior, his attitude. Devin Haney calls it an act. When he's gonna let the act go or whatever. But look, I love the confidence. I love the trash talk. It's very clever. It's creative. It's not just the Riley trash talk. I'ma fuck this motherfucker up. You know, it's not just the Rolly trash talk. It's actually creative trash talk that is funny. So I'm impressed by it. I like it. Keep it coming. And it's also on some tough guy shit. You know, he be out there with his little trench coat and the gloves, looking like a foreign hitman and shit. You know what I'm saying?
This time it wasn't even the gloves. Check out that ring he's rocking, bro. Last time it was the gloves. This time it's the super bling bling.
Iced out. Hey, I ain't mad at him. You know what I'm saying? Show what he got from that last fight. But look, I'm impressed by it. And when you saw Devin Haney out there, well, you will get to that once you show that little clip a little later. But yeah, go ahead, Tony. How you feel about this guy and his confidence? Kambosos, wow. Ferocious
Kambosos is is entertaining to me. Is entertaining to me. I mean, you know, look, we have to remember Devin Haney is a young man in years and experience. Yeah. George Kambosos is getting in his head. You know, you're how many thousand miles away from home, and your dad isn't with you. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna attack that straight away. Where's your old man? Where's the yin to your yang? Because we know how tight Devin and Bill are. So if you now in foreign soil with a team without the king of the team, you know, you're nobody's really on your side. You haven't got no fans over there. You know, this guy's in his country, he's talking his talk, and he's making you feel uncomfortable. I feel sorry for Devin. And I love Devin, but I gotta say, George has pulled out a master stroke of what he's done. To me, he's making this guy feel major uncomfortable.
I agree.
He looked uncomfortable.
The way he brought up that, you know, he's fighting in front of all of his people, the Greek people, of course, the Australian people, and then threw a jab about his dad not being able to go there, but that he did everything that he could do. You heard Devin Haney try to say, well, you haven't done everything you needed to do. So it's like you got him out of his skin on that one. And then you immediately follow it up by calling him a rat and all kind of other things for essentially talking poorly about Teofimo Lopez in direct messages. I got to tell you this. I don't think that just because somebody's from the same country or born in the same country that you're born, that you have to ride with them personally. You know, you're going to like who you like. You're going to go for who you go for. I don't have a problem with Haney supporting Kambosos going into that fight, because I got to be honest with you. There's very few people that offend people more than Teofimo Lopez and his dad in boxing. Even after the fight, the way they keep going on about how they were robbed and how it wasn't a legitimate win. And till this day, they're not giving George Kambosos any credit for winning that fight. You know, so I don't have an issue with Devin Haney not supporting Teofimo before that fight personally. But Kenny, you wanted to say something.
Yeah. I don't really care about the rat talk or anything like that. I just got to respond to a couple of comments about us not seeing Devin Haney press conferences or anything. Look, Devin Haney definitely looked shook. He was not keeping that same energy. The energy that he had in that first press conference where his dad was sitting next to him and he was in the US is not the same energy he had when he was in this press conference in Australia. Let's stop it. Let's be real. He was shook. When you seen that face off against Kambosos in his face, you didn't see, all he did was keep a serious face with his lips looking all pouty and scared. You ain't see all that trash that he was talking, all that rah gangster shit that he was talking when he was in the US talking against Teofimo, or when he was in that first press conference talking about Kambosos, talking to Kambosos when he was in the US. Let's stop it. Let's be real. He looked shook.
Let's bring up the Pete. This is the part you wanted to see here, right, Kenny?
The face off.
If anyone would like to get a picture outside,
I think you got to go a little further back.
Outside of the laneway to get a picture amongst the street art. And thank you again to everyone.
I think you got to go a little further back in the video. They have him really up close and personal, right when the face off starts.
I'm trying to look for it. It's pretty much all I see over here.
Oh, that sucks. This is a highlight video. That's why. Okay, I see. But yeah, fuck it.
Well, I'm sure you can review that for all the people that don't agree with you. You can review that on No Cap, because I know you keep it No Cap on No Cap Boxing, Kenny. So, look, guys, I got to keep it real with everybody here in terms of George Kambosos and Devin Haney. I think all of the chips right now are on George Kambosos' side. He's fighting at home. All right. He's got the belts. He's the A side. It's his promoter that's putting on the fight. I don't see Devin Haney knocking out George Kambosos Jr. I just don't. And I see a guy that's going into this fight that is supremely confident and who believes in his abilities when no one else believes in him, probably other than his own camp and his family. I mean, This is his first fight in Australia in years. It's not like he's been fighting at home. He's been on the road as an underdog multiple times. And now he's in his own country as the underdog because people are rating Devin Haney higher than they're rating him.
And don't forget, Maestro, that what Top Rank have done with Devin Haney is they've kind of nailed him like Kunta Kinte. It's like literally a slave contract. Like, yo, boy, you going to be coming down here 2 times. You can't get out. Woo!
Oh, man. So, look, I'm excited about it, and I got to give Top Rank and the promoters full credit because they're putting this fight on at a time that's amenable to U.S. audiences. I don't think it's going to be that great for you, Tony. I'm pretty sure you're going to have to watch this probably like 5 a.m. UK time, but I get the sense that you're an early riser anyway, so I don't think you'll have too much problems with that. You'll wake up, you'll go downstairs, you get your little coffee ready, you'll watch the fight. What a better way to start a Sunday, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to this fight. And I mean, again,
you talking about timings. Do you know what the funny thing is? I'm trying to find out what time the big fight is. You know what I'm saying? The big fight?
No.
Nonito Doner.
Oh, that's next Tuesday. That's next Tuesday, and that one's not gonna. That's not gonna.
Who the hell fights on a Tuesday?
They do in Japan. In Japan, they don't just fight on the weekend; they fight during the week.
See what I'm saying? That's a fight. That I mean, you base that on the first fight. You can't miss that.
No, that's
must watch. That's must watch boxing. And I have a bunch of. I'm actually away with a bunch of.
I'm watching the replay.
On a trip. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because I cannot miss this fight.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna be away that week as well. But go ahead, Kenny.
No, I'm saying that it is a can't miss fight, but what I won't be missing is the replay of the fight because I won't be getting up at that time out here to watch it live. I'm sorry, man.
Well, hopefully it'll be on ESPN Plus, and you'll be able to do that. But any last words, Tony, before we let you go? Thank you so much for joining us as always.
So, guys, as you know, if you want to catch the breakdown tomorrow, UK time, 8:00 p.m. I myself and Base the Kid will be doing our own rendition of what we've just seen, but we'll also be looking at some of the fights coming up this weekend. There's a hell of a lot of boxing this weekend.
Yes, sir.
We had just the one card this weekend gone, but this weekend coming up, we have like 6 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just talking about the big ones. I'm surprised you didn't talk about your boy, David Morrell Jr.
Oh, he's gonna be fighting. Let's get into that right now. Actually, David Morrell Jr. He's gonna be fighting out of Minneapolis, which he's made his home. He's gonna be fighting on the undercard of Stephen Fulton Jr., the unified champ at 122. All right, who's going to be defending his titles against Daniel Roman. I'm looking forward to this fight, definitely. I think Fulton Roman is going to be a tough fight. I do, however, see Fulton outboxing Roman over the 12-round distance. But I do see Roman putting up a very competitive fight. He just said he's the kind of guy that's fallen short a few times, and honestly, against guys that aren't as talented or as tough as Stephen Fulton Jr. Fulton Jr., too, is able to get rough on the inside. He doesn't mind getting in there trench warfare with you if he doesn't box you from the outside. But we also got to give full credit to the second best fighter at 168 pounds. He goes by the name of David. See, people thought I was going to say Benavidez, but I'm going to say David Morrell Jr. All right? He's going to be taking on a guy named Calvin Henderson. I got one word for you, gentlemen. Because this dude's probably
Rolly Part 2.
He's got David Morrell is going to handle business on Saturday. You best believe that. And also, you were probably talking about, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Kenichi Ogawa Joe Cordina fight taking place in Wales. Kenichi Ogawa, let me tell you something about Mr. Kenichi Ogawa.
Monster.
I saw him fight live on the undercard of Teofimo Lopez taking on George Kambosos Jr. here in New York City. Dude is tough as nails, and dude could box.
He can bang.
I hope for all of the UK people's sake that George Cordina trained hard for this fight, because if he didn't, Ogawa's gonna walk right through him. He can definitely bang. Big up to Sly Tendencies. He says, shout out Maestro, Kenny, and Tony. Joshua with Garcia. Yeah, he is with Garcia. We talked about that. Make sure you watch that on demand. All right, if you missed our convo about that. All right. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, you got to do that. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you get it to say all, not just some. All right. You want to be notified every time we go live here. All right. You got to also subscribe to my brother K.O. Kenny. He's got his channel. He's got No Cap. He's got his new EP out, all on the table. All right. Show some love to my brother Kenny T. All right. Stream that album. Look it up. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. Look out for his music. I got to tell you, my favorite, Lemons. I love Lemons. All right. I love Lemons. Not just the fruit, but the song is banger. All right. And you got to also make sure you catch my brother Tony for the breakdown. He's going to be going through all of the fights we just talked about on his show, The Breakdown, with my brother, my brethren out of the UK, Base the Kid. All right. Big up yourself, Tony. All right. Those are my... All right. You got to check them out. That's on the Undefeated podcast channel. All right. And also check out my brother Trav and KG over there as well. All right. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it, Tony. All right. You can catch him on the Undefeated podcast channel. Make sure you go check that out for the breakdown. All right. Thanks, Tony. We'll see you again soon. Hopefully you take care, sir.
Take care, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Later, Tony. Tony Ellaby, folks.
Tony Ellaby. I was surprised at the Ellaby. I was surprised at the Ellaby take, but hey, he likes Tank Davis. All right, so
Can't
Kenny,
be mad at that.
I know we got to get going. So any last words?
Nah, that's all. You said it all, baby. All on the table, all streaming platforms. Go check that out. KO Kenny, let's get it.
100%. That's it for us. Yeah. All right. This was Mano a Mano with Kenny T. All right. We had a great show. Thank you for everybody that tuned in. Yeah. That's it for us. We are out of here.
Chrome hearts at the Caesar's Palace. I was a sneaker savage, undefeated baggage. K-bar, you can be established. A 230s, that's 69s. You can eat a salad while you feed a phallus. I speak in palettes that compete with graphics. At the speed of cheetah gallops at indecent average. Chopsticks when I be eating Garrett's. Philippe receipt embarrassed, you can't see the marriage. That's why I started this in Vegas. Proposed to my toast, Neo's married to the Matrix. But I hate this bitch like I'm married to a racist. An addict, so the kilos get buried in the basements. Speed the wagon like Rio's, vicarious, vivacious. Patois noir, but the creed.